Hi there, and welcome to Biomarkers Training. This is my favorite because I believe that this is truly the hidden sauce when it comes to actually getting results, keeping the results long term, and then being able to make those moves yourself. Like, what toggles do you pull when you hit a small plateau? Or what happens if your sleep is not good or you're really stressed out during the week? Are you still supposed to train? Like, what should happen? Okay, that's why this is a subject that I'm very passionate about. But before we get into the biomarkers training, I want you simply to understand the world of physiology. Now, this is going to go deep for a second here, so just bear with me. But like I told you, this is all about learning, okay? And if you ever want to learn how to fish for yourself, you need to understand these concepts. I do not teach diet and exercise. I teach how to properly live in the midst of everything that should be connected, which is physiology, nutrition, exercise, and mindset. Now, once you have all of these things together, that makes up who you are. And once you understand these concepts, then who you are is going to go to that 2.0 version of your current self. So, with that being said, I'm not going to go into the biomarkers right now. What I want you to see is what is called the metabolic matrix. Okay, yes, this is, whoa, my gosh, what's going on? I felt that way too when my teacher, Sam Miller, was walking me through this process, and the rest of the students in the specialization that I took on for functional nutrition and metabolism science. He's the best in the industry, paid a lot of money to learn from him, but it helped so much because now all clients are getting 100% success, and I can easily lead you guys down that path. But I want to show you how I do that. Okay? Now, you may not master this right now in this session. It's not going to happen. But that's what I am here for. That's what you have a coach for. All right? So just kind of listen, enjoy, be entertained, but just kind of understand some of these concepts, right? Just in the back of your mind, know some of this stuff is happening if you start to see that one thing is going one way or another thing is going another. Okay? So let's just dive right in. So this is called the 3P model. You have perceptions, which are literally things that we perceive and the things that make us who we are, so to speak. Then we have the physiology. Physiology is what happens based off of these perceptions. And then practices. We have sleep, exercise, nutrition, hydration, non-exercise movement, and stress management. These are the things that we do on a very consistent basis. Okay? So you have perceptions, you have physiology, and you have practices. Now, the stuff in the box is what has to happen before anything physiological happens, which is right in here. And the way that these lines are pointing, it shows us what can actually happen if certain things are off. Okay, I'm just going to give you a few examples, and we're going to fly through this because I want to get to the biomarkers training. All right, so here we go. So if your sleep is off, as you see here, this affects your environment, everything around you. If your sleep is off, everything that you do in your workplace, it literally affects everything in your literal environment, which is where you are seated, what you're looking around at, all of that. Okay? But also exercise affects that exact same thing, your environmental inputs. Okay, what you can understand, what you feel, all of it. Exercise affects that. Sleep affects that. But then also nutrition and hydration. It also affects your environment. Okay, so what you're eating and putting in your body, or what you're drinking or not drinking, can 100% affect how you react to the environment around you. Did you know that? Then when it comes to oxidative stress and energy production. Oxidative stress is just a simple way or a complex way of saying something more simply. Okay, oxidative stress is the balance between free radicals and antioxidants. Free radicals are just like really bad cells, okay? They're like those rogue cells that don't have all of their stuff together. And if they bump into a good cell, they can turn that good cell bad. Okay, this is very powerful. That's why foods with antioxidants are absolutely essential for protecting our body. But moving on. So hydration and nutrition can affect that balance between good and bad cells. And also your energy production, like how you actually feel, like what kind of energy are you physically producing? That is affected by your hydration, your nutrition, your exercise habits, and your sleep. Okay? So I'll give you a great example. If you do not have energy, typically speaking, you're not getting enough water first. That's the first thing. You're not getting enough of these, all right? Get a 40-ouncer of these and start slamming this bad boy. And you'll start to see on your calendar that I'm offering different things that you should be doing when it comes to your drinking habits of water. You're an aqueous individual, meaning that your body is mostly water. So the more water you drink, actually, the better you're going to look and feel. All right. Then nutrition, right? So the way that you eat, whether it's balanced or not, you have a bunch of junk or not. Is it an 80-20? Or not? Like, what is your lifestyle made up that can actually affect your balance of good and bad cells and your ability to produce necessary energy to get through your day, to get through your exercise, etc. Okay? And if you're exercising too much, that can begin to throw off your balance in your environment. That can begin to throw off your balance with all kinds of different things, because as you see, this goes straight across. So if you're exercising too much or too little, that can begin to affect your relationship with food. Some people who exercise too much, what ends up happening is they eat way too little. Okay, and they become undereaters. Or people who exercise way too little, they're typically ones who are overeaters and they're not eating, they're eating way too much. Okay. Or would you have sleep? Sleep indeed affects not just the environment and how you respond to it, not just your good and bad cells, not just the ability to produce energy. Sleep also affects your relationship with yourself, whether you're a positive or negative freaking person, like who you are as a whole. Okay. Which can affect how you see things through these optical lenses that are called your eyes, which are charged by your brain. Okay. So then we can also see here that relationship with food. Okay, so if you have a bad relationship with food, it can give you gut issues. Absolutely can. But if you have a good relationship with food, that can also bless your gut and give you just a powerful, strong gut, which is what everybody wants, because the gut is kind of the second brain. Really the first brain if you ask me, but really the second brain. Okay, because the brain and the gut are connected because of the vagus nerve. But if you look at all of these things, just clean across the board, how many things can actually begin to affect your progress? Do you see this? Do you see this? And if we're not aware to these things, then we can find ourselves in a state of imbalance, in a state where we hit plateaus, in a state where we're not the happiest people, we're snapping on the people we love, and all kinds of different things. That's why I'm here to teach you physiology. Now you see why it's a very important subject. All right. But then let's go downstream a little bit more. So nutrition, hydration, we got that. We understand this top stuff up here. But then what about exercise, non-movement? Non-movement exercise is just kind of what you do in the office, your hand movement, your toe tapping, walking to and fro from this place and that place, all of that stuff. Okay. And then stress management is literally how well you manage your stress. If you're a super stressed out person or if you're pretty even keel, okay? And now if we look at these things, right? So we see that the non-exercise movement can begin to affect our detoxification, okay? So what does that even mean? Detoxification is how our body gets rid of what it does not need, okay? Very simply. So it can affect, very simply, your poop. So you may not poop as much because you're not moving. Okay. When you move, you create blood flow. When you create blood flow, you can create motility, which is losing the waste or pooping, getting rid of what your body literally doesn't need. Okay. And when you poop, all right, this affects your metabolism. That's right. Everything in this affects your metabolism. Aha. So if we don't have a high awareness of our practices and our perceptions, guess what? Metabolism will greatly be affected. You see how this works? So we got to move, right? If we want to poop, so we got to get those steps in. We got to start moving a little bit more. You don't want to be so sedentary. That's probably why you are constipated. Or, indeed, if you're moving a lot and you're pooping too much, that would mean that your nutrition, as we see here, this plays into detoxification. You see how it is a square inside of both of these, okay? So what that means is this detoxification, your ability to poop, or if you're pooping too much or pooping too little, is also controlled by your level of hydration and your nutrition. That means is if you are constipated, you probably don't get enough water, and if you're getting enough water, like you're an avid water drinker, maybe you're drinking so much water that you're pissing out all of your nutrients, okay, or your minerals, so to speak. So you need a little bit more balance there, okay? Or when it comes to the nutrition, it could simply be that your fiber is off, like you're getting way too much soluble fiber, way too much insoluble fiber. Or it could even be that your potassium is off. If your potassium is too low, well, the body certainly is not going to move that waste through the colon. Or it could mean that you're not getting enough fat in your diet, because fat, it creates a kind of like a slippery slope inside of your colon. All right. All of these things happen simply based off of nutrition and hydration. It's incredible. Okay, because detoxification needs to happen. And if we're not pooping enough, then we're holding on to things like negative estrogen cells, etc. And that slows down the metabolism. Okay, I know this stuff is deep, but again, you don't have to memorize this. I just want to show you a new world. Okay, now stress management. Okay, your ability to manage stress. If you're super stressed out all the time, that can begin to affect your hormones. Okay, that can also begin to affect how your brain fires, your neurotransmitters. Okay, but also if we look at the nutrition, the non-movement that we're doing, non-exercise movement is just movement that happens outside of an exercise experience. And then stress management, all of this can begin to affect your mind, your spirit, your emotions, and even your community that you find yourself in. Okay, that's why if you have negative people in your life, you got to be careful with that, because they can begin to affect your ability to manage your stress. They can begin to affect how much movement you are doing. Absolutely. Because if you have fit friends, that means you're probably going to move a lot more, right? Hey, let's go out and let's go hiking, or hey, let's go on a long walk, right? Okay, but what about your mind, your spirit, and your emotions? If you don't have balance there, then guess what? It's going to be very difficult for your entire body to be able to perceive and to be able to do things at a very high level. Because no matter what you believe in, you are mind, body, spirit, and soul. It all comes together. So if we don't have those things in balance, that can also begin to affect your ability to handle stress, because you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. You believe in nothing, right? Or if we look at your emotions, that can begin to affect your relationship with your community. And not just your relationship with community, this also means your relationship with your spouse. And yeah, that can come from nutrition. Mind blown yet? Because nutrition and hydration can affect how these things happen. Remember, this over here precedes what's happening on the inside. This over here precedes what's happening on the inside. Do you see this? And if you have a bad relationship with exercise and you're exercising too much, right? You're just gun. Let's get it done. Let's just do a ton of exercise. Let's do an hour of exercise or whatever. And over here, your nutrition is poor and so is your hydration. That's going to mess with your structural integrity. So your body is literally going to be broken down. You're going to feel sore all the time, which is going to, again, affect your metabolism. We're in the metabolic matrix here, okay? But it's also going to affect how well you can age. If you age in reverse, or if you're aging broken down where you have a bent spine, or you have bad knees, you got crap going on inside of your joints, you got all of this inflammation. Speaking of inflammation, we can go back up here. So your ability to control the inflammation in your body, which is kind of like that pain that you feel or pain that you don't feel, okay, that has to do with your relationship with self, your ability to get in your sleep, how much you're exercising, what kind of exercise you're doing to prepare your body for these things, okay? So that's just a real quick run into this. I mean, I can talk about this all day long because there's so many different fingers that we can communicate through this awesome list. So many different variables. So the goal is for you to understand your physiology. Now you're ready for biomarker training, okay? So let's get into it, yeah? So biomarkers, where is this? It's going to be right here. So biomarkers training. So all of that stuff to get to this point here. Now with the biomarkers, this keeps the metabolic matrix simple. Okay. Now there might be some outliers here, and that's what you have a coach for. But I wanted to keep this simple for you guys. Okay. So here it is. Biomarkers are essentially a non-invasive look into your physiology. Remember, you have the perceptions, you have the practices, and inside you have physiology. So when it comes down to it, your sleep, boom, hygiene, your sleep hygiene, or in other words, how well you are sleeping and how long on average per night. That is a part of your biomarkers. Second, your hunger and how well you are managing it. Third, your recovery from all things movement-based, including but not limited to your workouts, occupation, long walks, gardening, classes, how your kids are responding to you. All of that stuff will indeed affect your ability to recover. And by the way, all of this affects your metabolism. Fourth, your energy levels. Literally, how much energy do you have? How much energy don't you have? That's going to get right into your nutrition, as we saw there. It's going to get right into your hydration and other many different levels. Okay? The metabolic matrix. And then fifth, that your digestion, okay? And how consistently you are relieving your bowels. And if you feel bloated and undigested, or if you feel lean, if you feel light, all of those different things, that is digestion. Again, affects your metabolism. Then finally, we get here to your stress. Now, stress, this is really how well you're managing it. We call it stress management. And then finally, you have the last one here, and that's going to be your cognition, okay? Now, cognition is how well you retain information, how well you learn, you focus, and do what you need to do at the brain level, okay? So there it is. Now, the goal here, you will give each marker a number 1 to 5 based on how well you are doing in each one of these areas or how poorly you are doing in specific areas regarding your general, hormonal, and metabolic health. You will give a 1 to 3 or a 4 to a 5. Now, 1 to 3 is what we call a drag. It's just life depleting. It is not good. It's draining. It's general feeling of low wellness. And then a 4 to a 5 is like, whoa, it's a power. This is where we feel incredible. We're on top of the freaking world. And I'm sure that you can now justify that we want to be more on the 4s and 5s versus the 1 to the 3s. Now, the 1 to the 3s, they're going to happen in life because life happens. You got kids, you got a busy schedule, you have some kind of thing that you got to do in the workplace that has a very strict deadline. All of those things can begin to push you into that 1 to the 3. The goal is, with your good coach and with your good self, we come up with strategies for you to be able to manage those things, to get you back into the 4s and the 5s. And that's done by manipulating your different toggles. Again, practices, perceptions, and physiology. Okay, your physiology is what we're talking here in the biomarkers. Your practices and your perceptions will help you get to the place where you can begin to control what's happening in your life. Okay, and when you can do that, you can control fat loss easily. Okay? So it's very, very simple to understand. Now, every single Sunday, you're going to get a message like this. Happy Sunday morning. All right. Let's quickly target how your hormones are operating this week so we can keep your metabolism running on high. 1 to 5 scale. 4 to 5 is good, aka a power. 1 to 3 is bad, aka a drag. Answer each biomarker category to the best of your ability. Please give each category a number. Okay, very simple. For the sleep category, you're not just going to say how long you sleep, but you're also going to give it a quality. So let's just say you have broken sleep. Well, that quality is crap. So broken sleep, that's more on the 1 to 3. Now, how bad that is, like if you're waking up every freaking minute, all right, that's like a 1, all right? But if sometimes you wake up through the night, you got to wake up and go take a piss or whatever, okay, that's a 3. You get it? So it's broken sleep, but you still have a little bit more of an opportunity to sleep than that person on the left side who literally is waking up every single minute or every single hour, something like that. That is definitely a 1. Okay? That's the sleep category. Now, when we get into the muscle healing talk in the biomarkers, which are all listed below here, muscle healing, that equals the sessions that you're actually going to physically see in your calendar, muscle healing sessions. But that can also be stretching, your own kind of stretching, yoga, foam rolling, massage, which I recommend if you can afford that. You can put that into your financial plan. Ice baths, Epsom salt baths. I'm just kind of talking about it here, but that is muscle healing. It is the practice that heals your muscles. And remember, recovery is a part of your metabolism. So you got to recover if you're going to lose fat, if you're going to build muscle, if you're going to retain a healthy lifestyle, and you're going to live long, but not just live long, in your best health, which is what I am a master of. When it comes down to it, digestion. All right, remember, digestion is bloating or feeling heavy or energy deprived from foods or meals or whatever you're doing versus not. Okay? Because if things are going well, you're doing, enough bowel movements, everything feels happy inside of your gut, you don't feel heavy and weighed down. All right, that's a fire burning 5. But if you feel the opposite, like you have digestion, gut problems, all this stuff, it's all going wrong, that's a freaking 1. Okay, so 1 to a 3, 4 to a 5. So what you're going to see here in this message every single Sunday is you're simply going to copy and paste this part, okay, and then you're going to place it in the PT Distinction app. All right, you're literally going to copy, and then you're going to paste it into the PT Distinction app once you have answered this stuff, okay? So the answers, remember, is 1 to 5. So let's just say you have a great week, your stress is managed well, you're just happy-go-lucky. Well, that's a 5, okay? Hunger management, all right, well, I'm super hungry, like maybe you're on I put you in the trough phase or something like that, which you'll learn about, and it's like you're really struggling with your hunger. All right, some hunger is good, other hunger is bad. Hunger that makes you want to binge on something is bad. Hunger that you're just feeling you're experiencing hunger, that's an okay experience because your body needs to be hungry in order to burn fat. That's a fact. You have to be in a caloric deficit. It's a place that your body does not like because a deficit is less than you are used to consuming, okay? Relative to what you have been consuming, period. That's hunger management. So if you're really stressed out about food and you're like, frick, I'm going to binge on everything I see, that's a 1. All right. But if sometimes you're hungry in between meals, which I recommend anywhere between 4 to 5 hours between meals, really to just give your digestion a freaking break. Okay. Which is also helpful for longevity. If you're that person, you get hungry sometimes between meals, no big deal. But that's closer to a 3. All right. But if you're managing well, you're like, dude, I'm really not hungry until I get to that 4th or that 5th hour. That would be a 5. But if you're getting close to that 4th or that 5th hour, and now it's like, okay, I'm starting to get hungry here. I can feel those hormones talking to me in my gut. All right. At that point, that would be a 4 versus a 5. Now, you don't have to get this perfect, but I'm kind of giving you ideas here as to how this 1 to 5 thing works. Okay? The more accurate you can be, the more that I can help you when it comes to your journey so you never experience a plateau. All right? Now, when it comes to your energy or recovery, right? Recovery is just recovering from exercise, whether you feel recovered or not. This is more so like your body's really freaking sore. That would be a recovery of a 1. Okay? But if your body is really good, it feels pretty good, it just feels like you've been working out or whatever, that'd be a 5. Okay? So again, pain is like 1 to a 3, and then just feeling tension and regular tightness, okay, that's like a 4 to a 5. Okay? And you decide how far you are on each side, left to right. Energy. Do I feel energy or not? Like, am I energized throughout the day? If I'm fire burning hot with energy, then that's a freaking 5. Congratulations. We're dang near doing everything right at that point. All right? But if the energy is waning, we take forever to get started in our day, and we need a lot of caffeine. You're not just drinking the caffeine because, it's just a thing you do with your husband or your wife or because you enjoy coffee, right? That's a problem, and that, my friend, is a 1, okay? So between the 1 or the 3, drag, or the 4 or the 5, power, okay? Then it comes down to digestion. Again, the bloating or not, right? We're either heavy or we feel lean and light relative to our current size, right? Because everyone can feel like they have a little bit lightness, a little bit more pep to their step. All right, that would be digestion is very happy. Because remember, with the physiology, it speaks very closely to the gastrointestinal tract, and we got to watch that, okay? Sleep. All right. What are we doing here with sleep? Remember, sleep is the quality and it's the actual duration. So you're going to list the quality 1 to 5. So give it a number. You know these numbers by now, but you're sleeping really freaking well. We know that straight through the night. That's a 5. Remember, waking up every hour, every couple of minutes, whatever. That's a 1. And then you say how long you actually slept before you started your day. Whether you're a 3rd shift worker, 2nd shift worker, 1st shift worker, does not matter. Does not matter. Whenever you got to sleep, how long did you sleep and what was your quality? Period. All right, cognition. All right, cognition is what's happening in your brain upstairs. So sometimes when you get a very low calorie plan or just naturally you're eating very low, your brain is not going to fire as strong because your energy is just not there. Your neurotransmitters, as you saw, cannot fire then. All of these different problems exist through the cognitive space if things are not right in your practices and your perceptions. So we can take a look at that, and that might just be a simple conversation to figure out what's going on, to pull one toggle up, maybe calories up or something like that, or calories down. It just depends. But cognition, we want to keep that sucker at a 4 or 5. We want you on your A game because obviously you have a job, you have a business, you have something you're doing, you have kids that you're trying to be a mentor to, etc. And you want to be a great role model, so you got to have your brain upstairs, right? Then we got bowels. Bowel number is exactly as it sounds. I want to know how many times you're crapping all the way throughout the week. So yes, you need to take number, okay? And exercise, how much you're actually exercising. Oftentimes, you're going to see in your program anywhere between 2 to 4 times per week. Most people, very few people will have to go 5 and 6. Just depends on your metabolism. We will figure that stuff out together, all right? But how many exercise sessions are you doing? That's not just what I list. That's also what you decide to do outside of what I list, okay? And we can talk about that, and I can help you navigate that situation. Then we have the muscle healing. We know what that is. All forms of just recovering the body, all right? How many times did you do it? Like, how many times did you get a massage? How many times did you do your muscle healing session? How many times did you do the slow and restorative yoga? You get the point. And then ounces of water daily. On average, throughout the week, how many ounces of water are you putting in your body? All right? Need the truth there. Need the truth. And then results. Results is just a place for you actually to physically type out sentences. All right? Type out sentences. So however you truly feel, get it off of your heart, get it off of your mind, because I will read these. I will absolutely see these. Okay? So for the first, at least 30 days, we're going to be doing this a lot. And I'm going to be showing you screen shares, all kinds of stuff. All right. For example, it's going to be at least for that time. All right. But eventually it's going to be more of a group experience where everyone can learn together, and we'll have a day where we practice biomarkers, another day where it's just mindset, and another day where it's just nutrition. And you can get the distinctions off of everyone's questions, as well as I will have something that we can talk about if no one has any questions at all. All right, which is very uncommon. But that's going to be something starting very soon at the time of recording this video, which is 5/5/2021. All right. With that being said, this is the new biomarker training. I did one before. I wanted to put a little bit more behind it, just to help you guys really understand the great world of physiology, and hopefully to give you a passion for it just the way that I have. All right. It's not going to come overnight. No way, no way. But it will come, because you'll learn from me. I'm the best in the industry. You got the best. You chose the right thing. You're in the right place. Just keep that in mind. And any questions that arise in your life, you'll have them. You'll be like, oh crap, like I feel really tired. I feel really weak in the sessions, or what the frick ever. You can then tell me that, and I'll say, okay, well, let's pull this toggle. Let's pull this toggle relative to your current plan. You see how this works? I'm here to help you. Okay? So never feel like you are left alone. I am here to assist you. So let me know if you have any questions on this training. Other than that, be looking for this message on Sunday, this whole thing. You'll be looking for this, all right? And when you get this, all I'm looking for is this right here. That's all I want to see. So you copy and paste this, and then you send it my way. I'm going to give you a quick example here. I'm going to go to the actual app, and I'm going to click one of my clients who always does the results section. Let me see here. I'm going to maybe Sarah. She's one of my new clients. Let me see. Did she do this yet? Yep. So this is how it'll look. So you got the stress management. You see she has a number, the hunger management, the recovery, the energy, the digestion, the sleep. You see she gave it a quality, and then she gave it the actual duration, cognition. All right, remember that needs to be a fire burning 4 to 5, and weekly bowel movements, exercise, muscle healing, ounces of water daily. And then the results section is for you to physically write out how you feel and what you are experiencing. This is such a cool section, and I will absolutely read this. Okay, so with that being said, you let me know if you have any questions about this stuff, and we will go from there. But this is the biomarkers training. You will have this right here as a support doc, all right? And this very video that I'm filming right now will be right here where it says click here, all right? Let me know if you have questions. This was a whole bunch of fun. Sorry, I nerd out big time on this stuff, because really it's allowed me to become one of the best known where I am when it comes to helping people lose weight and helping people manage weight. And then on top of that, when it comes down to it, I'm able to help so many people and have such a big impact because I understand these things, because these are the real problems. Everything else that is talked about in Instagram from different trainers, all this stuff, they don't know diddly squat. All they talk about is calories and macros. They talk about this diet, that diet. They do not understand perceptions. They do not understand practices. They do not understand physiology, and that's a big freaking problem. We cannot be too far right and too far left. All of those things get you in trouble in life. They get you in trouble when it comes to your actual health and your physical appearance. All right. That's enough said. We will talk soon.